What's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. Today I'm here with Juha, who got first place at the Pro Play Tour event in Rancho Cordova with Red Broly. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, thanks. How about you?
I'm good, man. And you told me that you topped this event and actually won this event on your birthday, so double congratulations for that. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
So what made you want to play Red Broly at this event?
Okay, so I've always naturally gravitated towards like decks that are like very spammy and aggro. I didn't know how to like phrase it at the time of like set 3 or 4, but I always like decks that had like high number of actions per turn, the way you describe it, where like you're just pumping out a bunch of dudes on like turn 1 and 2 and just swinging a lot. I've always liked decks like Mono Black Boo, Green Broly, BR, just decks that kind of feel like Yu-Gi-Oh, I guess.
Okay, do you come from like Yu-Gi-Oh background?
Yeah, I played Yu-Gi-Oh competitively for like 9-10 years.
Gotcha. Yeah, the high action per turn thing is so strong in Dragon Ball, where we don't have like summoning sickness, for instance. And you look at a deck like Red Broly and you look at a deck like Dark Broly. I would say they're both aggro decks, but yeah, Red Broly has more actions per turn. Just it spams kind of smaller guys in the beginning, and then once you get to the late game, it spams like really huge dudes. So the main reason that's like the main reason you want to play the deck.
That, and I play test when the Red Broly TP was announced. It made me interested in the deck because I used to play Frieza Swap, and I'm like, oh, it's like another swap deck. Let me try it out. So I tested it out against my friend on Untap, and on the first game, I got him down to 1 life on my turn 2. He started his second turn with 1 life, and after that game, I was like, okay, this deck is kind of dumb when it goes off, and it's pretty fun, to be honest.
Yeah, swap is.
You feel like.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. You just feel like you're Brock Lesnar when you're playing the deck. Like you just dominate like everything.
Yeah, this dude Broly here kind of looks like Brock Lesnar, and yeah, it's when you're playing a swap deck too, you're basically playing like super cheap evolve, but like you're not losing cards, so it's kind of ridiculous. So let's just get right into the main deck. So these ratios are pretty standard. I mean, of course, 4 Astonishing Potential. Nice that you're able to get those promos because they're really hard to get right now. The 4 Ba and the 3 Saiyan Youth. So I think this is the card that some people aren't sure about. Some people play 4 of it. Some people play 2 of it. How did you feel about 3?
Okay, so I felt like 3 was the right number. I almost rarely play the card, to be honest. I had it at 4 copies. I had it at 4 and 2 Vampas. But I wanted to open the TP turn 1 every game. So if I didn't start with the TP, I wanted to get a Vampa to like look up top 7 and get the TP. But I also didn't want to whiff on Vampa, like have both of them in my life or whatever.
Right.
So I cut the other 1 drop from 4 to 3 just to put a 3rd Vampa.
Gotcha, and that seemed to work out pretty well for you. And then that leads me to my next question. So you're playing 3 Vampa when most Broly players only play 2. So why did you play 3 of this when I guess your leader can search it out?
It's just for consistency. I want to open as broken as possible every single game. I want to open the TP turn 1. So if I don't draw the TP turn 1, I want to make sure I get the Vampa to look up the top 7 to get the TP. And I don't want to have the option of like whiffing on getting a Vampa from deck because they're both in life.
Gotcha. So you want to make sure you had a Vampa in the deck and 3 felt like the right number for you. And then
and I very rarely played it, to be honest. I think I played it like 2 or 3 times the entire tournament.
Gotcha. So you must have opened up with the TP quite a bit then.
Yes, I did.
That feels pretty good. That's definitely some good RNG in your favor. And then the 3 Violent Rays. So this to me just feels like a little bit much. But was this card really good over the weekend? Was there a lot of decks this particularly countered?
It was good, but I just felt like I wanted it at 3 just because I felt like if I played against Dark Broly, you could literally end their turn. If you draw 1 in your opening hand, you keep it. You use the leader to search another one, so you can basically end Dark Broly's turn 2 turns in a row. And it's a good card, and it did come up every now and then, but most of the time, I felt like I was in control, so I usually just sided it out for my other negates in my side deck.
Gotcha, and we'll go over the side deck later. So you have the 1 max power in the main, so did you really just want the removal?
For Sin Shenron, literally, it's there only for Sin Shenron. It's good against Gotenks and like other decks, but it's there specifically just for Sin Shenron.
Gotcha. Would you say that's this deck's worst matchup?
Surprisingly, no. I feel like it's its second worst matchup. I feel like its worst matchup is actually something like Vegex or Green Gohan that can out aggro you and just kill you before you go off.
I see, yeah, and that's where like Violent Rays unfortunately doesn't quite come in because they swing with a lot of lower cost guys, and this doesn't really hurt the Reboot Gohan leader, so I can definitely see how that makes sense. And this stuff is all pretty standard for Broly Bonafide Sand, for Oath of Vengeance, for Broly Great Ape. And then we come to the next page, again, pretty standard, but I think a lot of people are starting to cut unlimited power down to 3 because there's a lot of games where you can't even play unlimited power. So did you kind of run into that problem, and do you think cutting it down to 3 is right?
I actually did run into an opponent that he played really smart. He went first, and on his turn 3, he did not. This was my only loss actually in Swiss. He did not charge for a turn on his turn 3. I actually had him and the SCR in hand, so I was just and I had the 5 drop on field, and I was ready to go off. Right. He didn't charge for a turn. He just, and then so I couldn't play it on my turn, so I do my turn 3, you know. Then his turn 3, he charges his 3rd energy, plays Mechi Cabra, and calls the 6 drop Broly BR, so I couldn't even go into it at all.
Right.
But I think 4 is a good number if you're playing the SCR because you want to be able to consistently be able to see it and drop it. But if you're not playing the SCR, or if you don't have the SCR, I guess you could get away with 3. I was playing 3 until my friend let me borrow the SCR.
Gotcha. So maybe a pretty good tip for some budget players that maybe don't have the SCR.
Yeah.
And then we go on to the final cards of the deck. So 4 Piccolo Jr. Giant Force. So this leads me to 2 questions. One is, you're not playing Piccolo the New Ruler, which seems like one of the most broken cards in the deck. So was that like an accessibility issue, or did you just not think the card was worth playing?
It's accessibility, and I didn't get a chance to test it, so I didn't really want to go in blind.
Gotcha.
Like it sounds really good on paper, but like I said, I didn't really get a chance to test with it. So, and I've tested Bardock before, and I prefer Bardock for a couple of reasons.
Bardock the Resolute you're talking about?
Yes, Bardock the Resolute.
Yeah, I think he's great in this deck where you can play him potentially like turn 1, you know, attack for a crit, play him down. He's definitely really, really solid in that regard. And then another question, this is something that I've been testing out, and I actually have been liking it a lot. So I'm teching a 1 of Fearless Pan. So how do you feel about that card in the deck with Piccolo's -6?
I actually thought about that because the Piccolo Unison was actually a last-minute entry. I have to actually give a huge shout out to Eddie St. Hilaire because I posted my deck profile in the Broly group, and it had 4 KOs at the time. It was like 3 days before the event, and Eddie St. Hilaire messages me and he tells me, take out the KO for the Piccolo, and I'm like, everyone's telling me that, but why should I do that? And he gives me a bunch of good reasons why I should take out the KO for the Piccolo Jr., so I decided to test out the Piccolo Jr. Unison instead of the KO. And round 1, game 3, my opponent, turn 1, Dark Powers Black Mass Saiyans me.
Right.
So I turn 1 Unison, Piccolo Unison, and neg 5 it to KO it. And if I had not been able to do that, I'm pretty sure I would have lost that game, which I would have probably potentially not even topped because I would have lost that game and then played different people, and who knows what that would have happened. But that Piccolo Unison is absolutely busted. Even without the pan, it's just like nuts. Like I can't even begin to describe how broken that Piccolo Unison is. And for pan, I didn't have access. It's funny, I didn't actually have access to a pan to actually try it out. But I can see why people would play it because it's a free. It boosts everything by 5k, and then they're all double strike crits. And yeah, I could see people's reasoning behind it. I just didn't get a chance to test it, and I didn't have any on hand at the time.
Right. No, I mean, you're absolutely right with the Piccolo Jr. Unison. It's kind of weird, but it's outright just completely better than Kale, and one of the main reasons is that +1, because Dark Power Black Mass Sand used to give Red Broly such a hard time because you couldn't use Planet Vampa, you couldn't use your Astonishing Potential to get the Ba. So yeah, Piccolo Jr. Giant Force, in my opinion, like fixes the deck's one of the deck's main problems, and it makes it even stronger, which is crazy. I kind of think that
100%.
Yeah, I kind of think that if Astonishing Potential wasn't so expensive, I think we'd see a lot more people playing this deck, but it's a super solid pick for sure. And then
it's actually funny. 2 of my friends literally bought the deck like complete with the TPs, the day after I won the event.
Nice. Yeah, it's a super good pickup for sure. And then we have the sideboard, so I'll just let you walk us through the side deck.
Okay, so I play tested the night before against my friend's Vegex deck. He was actually one of the 2 Vegex that topped also. And I lost every game practically against Vegex. It felt like almost unwinnable because Vegex, you can destroy their hand, but they're just going to constantly build board and they're going to pressure you, and eventually they're just going to whittle you down and kill you. Especially if you lose a die roll against Vegex, it's just like almost unwinnable. So my entire side deck was built almost specifically for Vegex and Sin Shenron because realistically, this deck is so strong when it goes off that you kind of just beat everything else.
Gotcha. And one question: what do you think about Topo against Vegex? Is it too expensive? Like energy cost wise, what do you think about it?
I thought about that, but they just like I said, if you lose a die roll, you turn 1, you're probably forced to just grab one of your extra card negates and probably not even play the TP and just try and defend. And then turn 2, I guess you could Topo, but it just seemed like it's too expensive, like you said, energy-wise, and it just felt like you probably weren't going to make it to 2 energy. And if you did, it's like they already brought you down to like 2 or 3 life, and you can't even safely TP into like ball and stuff because you're critting life and stuff.
Gotcha. So this is actually a pretty interesting side deck philosophy then. It's basically just, your 2 worst matchups, everything else, you should pretty much just beat them. So overall, man, really, really cool deck. Congratulations on winning on your birthday. That's a really great feeling. Any shout outs you want to throw out there?
I actually have a lot of shout outs because this deck was like a spirit bomb. This deck was like a spirit bomb where like everyone, because this is an expensive deck. It actually came out to like $700 when I was building it on Shenron's Lair to send to you. And I know for a fact if it was just me by myself, I wouldn't have been able to make it. So shout out to all my Silver Wolf group, especially Nick and Evan, who each bought me a TP Broly for my birthday.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's so awesome.
Shout out to my friend Ryan for even suggesting I should play Red Broly in the first place because he told me, it's like, yeah, dude, just play Red Broly. Because I was undecided between Red Broly and Sin Shenron. Shout out for Yomi for helping me get the last TP and overall helping me out with some of the side deck cards at the last minute. Big shout out to Eddie St. Hilaire because he made sure I could even attend the event in the first place and for giving me that last minute advice on the Piccolo Unison. Shout out to my friend Kevin Queens who, if it wasn't for him play testing with me at the time and playing in person, I probably would have lost interest in what's happening with everything shut down and stuff. Shout out to and shout out for Kevin Queens for letting me borrow his SCR Broly while I was waiting for my SCR to come in the mail. And shout out to everyone from all my local Cycle Turtle, Silver Wolf, Game Chess. My phone literally blew up a minute after I won the event with like everyone that knows me from LA.
Awesome, man. Glad to hear it, man. You broke up a little bit at the end, but we got most of the shout outs out there. So congratulations again, and we'll talk to you next time.